I want to talk about planning. Why? Because I've recognized in conversations I've been having recently with a lot of people, both people that I work with, my clients, and also people I'm just having chats with, where they recognize, for example, that they're finding themselves feeling maybe frustrated, perhaps they're stuck, they're just not moving forward, and that results in feeling maybe demoralized, demotivated, and on that hamster wheel that we could all resonate with at some point in our lives. And what that means is then we end up feeling like we're just going nowhere, we're stuck, and we just don't know what to do to get out of that. It may be that you're feeling that you're just lacking progress, you're not moving forward. And sometimes it could even be that you're missing out. You feel that you're missing out on what you really want, but yet you don't know how to get there. You don't know what to change or what to do differently. And there's so much information out there. There is a lot of information that can help with that. But sometimes that can also feel quite overwhelming, which means that you end up feeling almost stuck and so overwhelmed with information that you just don't know what to do, which means that you do nothing. So let me know if this resonates with you, and if this is a place that you've ever been before, or maybe you're finding you're at now, and or there's maybe somebody you know who is in that situation. And if there is, then do share this with them so they can watch it and hopefully get some help from this today. And here's the thing, when we're in that situation, it ends up being that we're not happy, we're not satisfied, we're not feeling fulfilled because we're not where we want to be. And a big part of that, there's two aspects to this. So first of all, I always advocate gratitude. So you want to look at what you do have. Now, it might not be the ideal of where you want to be ultimately, but look at what you do have, because oftentimes we can miss the things that are right in front of us. So the way that I do this is by expressing gratitude every day. And I do this in a group. It's actually a WhatsApp group that I'm in, where every day we post our gratitudes. And I would advocate definitely that you write this down, not just that. I've had people say, oh yeah, I do think about it every morning when I wake up. Okay, it's not the same. It's so much more powerful to write down your gratitudes. So ask yourself daily, what are you grateful for today? Even if you're feeling that your life is stuck, you're frustrated, you feel like you're going nowhere, there's still so much to be grateful for. And it's just start with a simple steps, like pick three things in your life that you are grateful to have. That could be your health. It could be your five senses, your ability to see, to taste, to smell. All of those things we've got to be grateful for. For me, I love it when the sun is out. Even when it's really cold, I love to see the sun shining. For me, I'm very grateful to be able to have that, to be able to see that and to experience that. Or even if maybe I'm feeling a little bit like I maybe have a bit of a headache, I'm not feeling, or I'm a bit tired, to go out and have that cool breeze blowing on me. It almost feels like it's clearing the cobwebs. Again, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the food that I'm able to have access to be able to cook. I'm grateful for the gas to cook the food on. There's all of these little things, but they're not really little. It's just that oftentimes we overlook them and we take them for granted. So I absolutely invite you to take time, first of all, no matter where you're at in life, even if everything is amazingly good, to express gratitude for what you do have. And as I said, if you've never done this before, start with baby steps. Just pick three things each day and write them down. Grab a little notebook and just write down those three things each day. And as you do it, the more you recognize what you're grateful for and the abundance that you have in your life, the more you will attract into your life. It's the law of manifestation, and it's so, so powerful. So rather than, even if you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling that things aren't where you want them to be right now, and that might prevent you from knowing what to do or how to move forward, and you're frustrated, if you're focusing on that all the time, I always talk about this, we get what we focus on. So if we spend our time focusing on the things that we don't have, we're going to manifest more of that. We're not going to have what we want because we're looking at what we don't have. That's where our focus goes. So you focus on what you are grateful for all of the amazing things that you do have in your life, your family, your friends, your home, a roof over your head, running water, hot water to have a shower or a bath. All of those things are things you can be grateful for. So recognize them and write them down, make a note. And it really does shift your energy, particularly when you're not in a great place. So coming back to the planning side, now, what I say is, because sometimes people say, well, I don't know where to start. What do I do? I just know I'm not happy here right now. And this can be in any aspect of your life. So think about the different areas of your life. And first of all, what are the important ones for you? And I would write this down. So you can do that with me right now, or you can go back over this replay later on and go through this process again. But the first thing you want to do is identify what aspects of your life are really important to you. Now, I'll give you some ideas to get you thinking. So it could be things like your health, your family, your friends, your social life, maybe your career or your business. Perhaps it's your spirituality, your religion, your beliefs that maybe play a big part in your life. Could be your personal growth, your personal development, and always looking to improve, learn, better yourself, learn new skills. Maybe it's your environment that's very important for you. Perhaps it's having fun and recreation. Now, there's so many things that that we have different aspects of our life, there are different, let's say, pillars of our life. So it's a case of thinking, pick out, I'd say, up to 8 that you identify as the most important aspects of your life. Okay, so that's the first thing to help break this down. And then what you would like to do is to think, okay, where am I right now in each of these 8 aspects of your life? So I'm going to use the example of health and fitness because it's one that a lot of people will probably resonate with in some way. Doesn't mean that everyone is necessarily looking to lose weight or to get fitter, but most people, if not all, are in some way have some place some importance, let's say, on their health, whether it's the exercise, what they eat, or maybe they're suffering with their health and they want to improve. So different aspects, different perspectives on health will impact everybody in some way. So I use that as an example as we go through this. So if that is one of your 8 things that is most important to you, then what you want to do is start by saying, because remember, we're talking about planning today. So before we dive into taking action, it's like, for me, it's understanding where you are right now and where do you want to be. Let me know if this makes sense. And also share with me in the comments any of the areas of your life that you feel actually you want to improve. It might be all of them. What are the priorities for you? Share a couple in the comments so I can see if this is landing with you, if this resonates with you. And think about, first of all, once you've got those 8, up to 8 areas of your life, those pillars of your life, that are the most important thing for you, ask yourself this: where am I right now in this part of my life on a scale of 0 to 10? So if we use health as an example, and now remember that that rating, that 0 to 10, is personal to you. You need to be thinking, okay, so what does 10 look like for me? Right? So the scale of 0 to 10 means that 0 is it's not even on your radar right now. It's important to you, but it's not even on my radar. I'm not doing anything about it. I'm not looking after myself. My health is in the toilet, whatever it might be, right? Whatever is your 0. That's the worst case. 10 is the best case. 10 is you are nailing it, you're smashing it, you're winning, you're absolutely where you want to be. Okay, let me know if that makes sense. And so what you want to do is, using my example of health, think to yourself, right, where am I in my life right now when it comes to my health? Am I at a 0? Am I at a 10? Am I at a 5? Maybe a 7? And again, this is totally personal to you. It's not something you have to share with anyone. If you'd like to share in the comments any of this that resonates with you, or something that maybe you've gone through this process before, then please do let me know. And once you do this with 1, you then follow through with all of the 10 areas. So what you're doing is you're assessing where you are right now. Remember, I said pick up to 8 to just make it manageable. So 8 aspects or pillars of your life that are important for you. You don't have to have 8. You can have 5. You can have 3. You might feel that actually most aspects of your life are great right now, and then maybe just 1 or a couple of aspects that you still want to do some work on, you want to improve, those are the ones where you feel stuck, or you're not performing as well as you could, perhaps, let's say fitness, whatever that might be for you. So pick a few areas and start by self-assessing where you're at right now. So on a scale of 0 to 10, measure that and say, okay, where am I right now? And I'm going to use health because I think this would resonate with most, if not all, people. So for example, if I say health, for me, I probably say I'm at maybe a 5 or 6, because it's something that I have, what's the word I'm looking for? Like overlooked for a while now. And this year, so 2021 is the year that I have started to really refocus back on it and to start taking baby steps to get where I want to be. That's the next step that we'll look at. So for now, identify those areas that you want to improve, the areas where you're feeling stuck, unfulfilled, frustrated. I think, right, okay, where are you right now on a scale of 0 to 10? Okay, so that's the first part of this, your self-assessment of where you feel you are right now. Okay, I'll just check in with Brad. Let's see what you're saying, Brad. Let's bring this comment up. Thank you, Lee, for sharing some good insights. I found looking at everything to plan and change is difficult and daunting. Exactly. This is the thing, it becomes overwhelming. So I've broken it down to buckets, i.e. work, development, health, etc., and have milestones below these and monthly goals, and constantly check in each week for progress checks and alignments and focus. Fantastic, Brad. This is absolutely brilliant. Exactly spot on. Exactly what I'm going to be talking about in a bit more depth today. And you're on that. You're on it already. You're already doing it all. And the fact that I'm going to mention this because I may forget, I'll try and remember to come back to this later, is what you said there about, so you've got your milestones set and your monthly goals, and you're constantly checking in each week for progress and checking, making sure you're aligned and where you're focusing on, that to ensure that you're moving forward. The reason I bring that up is because it's so important to measure what we're doing and where we want to get to, because by measuring, we get to focus on those actions or where we want to be. So let's again use health. We're then, it brings it into focus for us easily, naturally, because we're measuring it perhaps daily or weekly in terms of what we're doing. And typically what we measure gets done, and it gets done well because we're looking at it, we're measuring it, and we don't want to let ourselves down. We don't want to fail for ourselves. And it may even be if you're being accountable to others. So maybe I see some people put on Facebook, if they've set themselves a goal to maybe to run a 10K or to run a marathon or to train for something or to lose weight. And they'll put a post out there on social media to make themselves accountable to others, because that's, again, a driver. It's a motivator to keep us going. So it's something to consider doing. You don't have to put it out on social media, on a public platform, but maybe you could have an accountability partner, a buddy, somebody who you can check in with. Maybe there's a group of you that you could join together. If you're all, you don't have to have, by the way, the same goals. It don't all have to be about health. So I'm in a group at the moment, an accountability group, where there's a few of us, and we have different aspects we're all focusing on. Some of it is health related and some of it is business related. And so we're checking in and motivating and pushing each other. But because we're accountable, and I'm recognizing that I am focusing more on it because I've committed to what I'm doing daily for my health. And so every day I need to update that and share what I've done and what I'm doing and what I'm planning for the next week. And that means by keeping me accountable, it brings my focus back into doing it, because I have to report back to people. And as I said, you can do this with your partner, with a friend, maybe with somebody that you work with, that you get on with. And it also depends on the particular aspects. There might be some things that are more personal than others, so you'd only share with some, but there might be something that you're more than happy to put on social media and make yourself accountable. So whatever feels comfortable for you. So thank you, Brad, for sharing that. That's really, really important to check back in, to reflect on your progress and to measure that and ensure that you're still aligned, because this also gives you the opportunity to tweak if you're missing out on doing certain aspects, or you're not achieving your goal that particular week. What do you need to change? What do you need to do differently? Thank you, Brad, for sharing that. Really, really helpful. For those of you who are watching, and if this resonates, if you've got any questions on this, or if this is something you are doing already, or you have some tips that you could share on how you go about it, like Brad has done, then pop them in the comments. So going back to the process, we've got, as I said, identifying those areas of your life that are important to you, first of all. And I say maximize it up to 8, just to make it manageable. And then carry out that self-assessment. So on a scale of 0 to 10, where do you see yourself right now? With 0 being, it's not even on your radar. You're really not like putting any time, focus, or energy into it. You're really not where you want to be at all. It's just not happening. You're not even close. And then 10 is you are totally happy, satisfied, fulfilled. You're nailing it. You're winning. It's as good as it can be. Now, there's always that little bit of room for improvement, of course, but broadly speaking, you're in a great place with that particular thing. So mark yourself, score yourself on those things. And then what you want to do next, so the next step is to look at, okay, where would I like to be in all these different areas that I've identified? Now, this is not to say that we should be a 10 in everything, because we want to get balance in our life. And you'll find that at some times in your life, there's certain things that aren't as important as others. So it'll be very, very challenging and overwhelming to say, right, I want to be a 10 in everything. What you want to do is you want to improve. So gradual steps to improve. So using health, I'd say right now, I want to get myself to an 8. I used to be a 10 out of 10. I used to be extremely fit, healthy, trained regularly, ate really well. And I'm not going to lie, I haven't been doing that for the last couple of years. So I've had other pressures to deal with, and poor excuse perhaps, but that's why I'm very aware that I let myself go. So I'm on a mission this year to really get myself back to where I want to be. But I'm not going to say, okay, I want to be a 10 yet. For now, I want to get myself to an 8, because once I get myself to an 8, I know that the kind of person that I am, I will look back and I'll reflect and I think, yes, do you know what? I've got it this far, from say a 5 or 6 to an 8. Now I just need to get 2 notches up to get back to where I was, to that 10. Noting, by the way, that 10 for me now might not mean the same thing that it meant for me, say 2 or 3 years ago, because life evolves, life changes. Another example of this is your career. So it could be at a point in time, your career is a 10 out of 10 for you. Your career is a high priority for you, and it's going really, really well, and it's you want it to be a 10. Okay, and then things change, things evolve in your life, and as we say, life happens, and it may be that actually it's not so important anymore. Perhaps you get married, maybe you move to another country, perhaps you have a child, whatever it might be, and actually that's your priority. That new part of your life, whether it's family, it's environment, maybe it's your health or the health of someone close to you, becomes a priority. And actually you're okay with your career no longer being a 10 for now. That's good. And it's accepting that and not beating yourself up, because that is the big thing we all do. We're very quick to beat ourselves up because we're not perfect. How often do you hear people say, I'm a perfectionist and I beat myself up because I'm not good enough, because it needs to be perfect? And I've learned, and it's people around me have recognized as well, that I've learned to let go of that. Of nothing has to be perfect, because what is perfect? Perfect is your own definition. You want to be the best version of you, and you want to be showing up as your best self and doing your best in all that you do. What I would advocate is avoiding beating yourself up constantly, because that really, you don't do it to other people, but we all do it to ourselves. And it's recognizing that and being able to stop it, and actually patting ourselves on the back and encouraging ourselves to continue to grow, to learn, to do better. So where do you want to be in each of those areas of your life? Is it a 10? Is it a 9, 8, 7? It might be something right now you're at a 0. So for you to get to a 5 or a 6 will be phenomenal. And that's great. So be kind to yourself. Be honest and realistic with yourself of what you can accomplish. Because remember, there's all these different parts of our lives going on. Okay, we've got the family, we've got our social life, our friends, which will hopefully over the next few weeks is going to start becoming more of a reality. We get to meet people again and give them hugs and go sit indoors rather than outdoors in the freezing cold, having something to eat or drink. So social life may become really important over the next few months as our lockdown lifts and we get to go out again and see people. The same with family. It could be that actually your career has taken a bit of a back seat. It's not as important to you right now for whatever reason. Or your health maybe is more important or less important than it has been. So it may be that you've put 100% into your health during lockdown, and actually now you want to go out and enjoy yourself and see your friends and family and be sociable. So health may take a little bit of a back seat. There's no right or wrong here. There's no good or bad. It's whatever works for you. So this stage that we're at now is, so we've gone to point 3. So point 1 is identify the things that are most important for you in your life, the different aspects of your life. Number 2 is do a bit of self-analysis to where you are right now in those areas on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being you're not even close and 10 being that you're winning it. And then now you want to look at where do you want to be in each aspect of your life. So for example, it might be that if I use health again as an example, for me, I'd say probably by, I'm putting myself out here now by saying this, but an 8 within the next 3 months. Okay. And what does that mean for me? That's the question I want you to ask yourself. Well, what does 8 look like for me? Is it about losing weight? Is it about feeling fitter, having more energy, feeling stronger, exercising frequently, eating really well? It's whatever it is for you. It's a real personal thing, this, okay? It's not about what anyone else is doing or saying or telling you should do. It's about what feels good for you. So I know what an 8 is for me. And I've already created a plan this year, which I'm working through baby steps to implement. Because I feel like, although I used to be in the gym 4 or 5 days a week for years, since I've left my career and I know my own business, that's where I feel that I've dropped the ball. So I'm really pushing myself to motivate myself to get back into some sort of a routine. And like I said, what I did before doesn't have to be what I do today. That has evolved, that has changed. So think about where you want to be on a scale of 0 to 10, and what does that look like for you? Because you hear people say, oh, well, I want to lose weight. Okay, well, how much do you want to lose? By when do you want to lose it? Why do you want to lose it? And this is a big question. It's the why. So I'm sure many of you will have heard this before. Simon Sinek talks about this a lot, is the why in what we do, the purpose of what we're doing. Because by getting clear on our why and our purpose, we become more intentional with it, become more focused on it and more motivated. It's not so much of a push, because it comes almost easier, in some cases effortless, to maintain the momentum, to keep doing what you're doing, because the why is so big. So once you've identified where you want to be on a scale of 0 to 10, the fourth part of this is ask yourself why. Why is that important to you? What difference is it going to make? What does it mean for you? So these are some of the questions to consider as you're going through this analysis of where you want to be. Philip Chan, hello there. Great to see you. Thank you for hopping on, and thank you. Glad the advice is useful. So we've gone through those steps. And write all of this down. So you want to write down your score. So let's say you're at a 5 and then you want to be at an 8 for something. So now what you want to do is think, first of all, why do you want to be an 8? What does that look like for you? What does it sound like? What will it mean for you? Just really understanding the why behind that. Remember, we're still in planning stages here. We want to improve aspects of our life. What do we need to do? We need to plan. We need to craft out a plan, a bit of a roadmap to get us to where we want to be. But before we just set a goal and say, I want to lose weight. Well, okay, you'll drop the ball very quickly if that's the approach. Whereas if you look at, right, this is where I think I am. This is where I'd like to be. This is why I want to be there. What is it going to look like? What is it going to sound like for me? What am I going to be saying to myself once I've gotten to that 8? And what will it feel like for me? So for me, I know with my health, I'm already feeling more energy, more alert, mental alertness, particularly. Starting to fit into clothes better, all those great things when you drop a little bit of weight. But I still have a long way, in my opinion, to go. Now, I have measures. So as Brad talked about earlier, there's certain measures we can put in place so we can go back and focus on how far we're progressing. And if we're not progressing, then you can analyze that and say, well, what's stopping you from progressing? What am I doing that's not moving me forward? What do I need to change? What can I do differently? Excuse me. So working through all of this, once you've got your scores, what you want to do is take a step back and look and think, right, what are the gaps that I have right now? So depending on how many things you've actually identified, you want to think to yourself, okay, so where I've got, let's say, some things maybe 5 to an 8 or 1 to a 10, or whatever it might be, because your priorities might have changed. And something that was a 1, maybe you've been completely overlooking your health for so long and it's a 1 and you want to get it to a 9. First of all, what's the timeline you're going to use for that? And how realistic is that for you? You've got to ask yourself a lot of these questions to get really clear on how. What I don't want you to be doing is setting yourself up for failure, because setting yourself up for failure is the biggest thing that will have us giving up, quitting, going back to our old ways rather than moving forward. So you want to think about why you want to increase, to progress in a particular area of your life. What is that going to look like? How's it going to change my life? But also, how might it impact other areas of my life? So, for example, I mentioned about working on my health. I can feel my mental agility is a lot better than it was, which means that I perform better in my business. I perform better in a lot of what I do because I'm more alert. My brain is just working a bit better than it was. Let's say I was having brain fog before. That's starting to dissipate. So again, you want to see what impact are these things going to have for you in the bigger sphere, not just for that one area of your life, and getting clear on why it's important to you, because having that why and having the measurables around that. So if it's about your health and fitness, what does that look like? Is that about having more energy? Is that about dropping some weight? Maybe it's about actually toning up or bulking up. Perhaps it's about being more alert and finding that because you've not been active, you'll experience something like brain fog or just not able to think as clearly as you used to, lacking that clarity. And actually that's why you're doing it, because that's important for you. Or maybe you've got a big event coming up and you've got a beautiful outfit to wear and you want to be able to fit into that and look great in it and feel confident in it. So you want to tone up, you maybe want to drop a few pounds, whatever it might be. As I said, this is really personal to you. And you want to understand your why, because when you're lacking the why is where you're going to very easily give up. So those are my little bits of advice and approach to planning. And then I think some questions that you want to consider around this as well. So not only the why and what it's going to look like, what it's going to sound like for you, what will you be saying to yourself, what's it going to feel like when you accomplish that goal, but also look at your scores, so where you are right now, where you'd like to be, and look to see, are there any surprises there for you? So for example, is there something where you hadn't actually realized that you've not been giving that particular part of your life a lot of focus, a lot of time or attention? Maybe it's a particular relationship, maybe it's your partner, it's a friend, a family member, and you're like, actually I've been overlooking that because I've been so caught up in my career or improving my health or whatever it might be. So look to see if there are any surprises for you, and then also take some time to consider, how does it feel looking at your life right now? So where you're at, where you want to be, seeing those gaps, and also thinking to yourself or asking yourself, how would you like to spend time in those areas? So where, for example, if you are overlooking or not prioritizing some aspects of your life, how would you like to spend time in those areas? What would you like to do differently? And then ultimately, you're going to have, I'm guessing, a few gaps in some of those areas. So then it's a case of now of prioritizing, well, which of those gaps do you want to close most importantly to help you prioritize where you spend your time. So as I said, for me, this year, a big one is health. So that's one of my priorities. What is it for you? What area do you want to improve upon as one of your most important areas of priority? And what does that mean for you? So again, the measurables of, say, how much time are you going to commit to that each week or each day? What are you going to do? Because by doing that, you can see it could be, for example, that you set yourself an hour a day, 5 days a week. But after a couple of weeks, you realize you're not doing that. And this is where I say you want to be careful of overcommitting and then finding that you're beating yourself up. So what you want to do is, okay, review it. So as Brad said earlier, review where you've come over the last couple of weeks and say, right, well, I've only done 3 days the last couple of weeks, and I've only done an average of, say, 30 or 45 minutes. Okay, well, let's be realistic. Let's tweak it a bit and change our measurables so that we don't feel that we're failing or that we're beating ourselves up, because that's a quick way of giving up. So this is what I mean by, yes, you want to push yourself. Yes, you want to grow and to do that little bit more each time. But you also want to be in a place where you're still feeling motivated and encouraged to keep going and not like, oh, I can't do this, I'm just going to give up. That's where we don't want to be. And then you want to think about how you can make space for these changes, because it's likely that for some of them, you're going to need to afford time to them. So if it's exercise, if it's fitness, maybe it's meal planning, you want to afford time to it. So where or how can you do that? What is it you might need to give up? The opportunity cost or something else, whether that is scrolling through social media, whether that is watching TV. What do you need to do differently? What do you need to maybe change or give up in order to be able to accomplish this goal? And how important is that for you? So give some thought to these things. And once you've done the assessment of where you're at on a scale of 0 to 10, where you'd like to be on a scale of 0 to 10, and also where you'd like to be, what is a time frame for that? So is that over the next month, 3 months, 6 months? It can be very personal to you. Some people work better with longer term goals, some people with the shorter term. Me personally, particularly for health, I tend to work on a sort of 3 to 6 month basis, because it just feels like I'll keep moving forward. If it's 12 months, it's so long. It's like, oh my goodness. But setting myself every 3 months helps me to keep pushing forward. That's a personal choice for me. So what is it for you? Let me know what your thoughts are around this. If this is something that's helpful for you, what actions you're going to take on the back of this. Also share what you do in your own way right now to help you to move forward when it comes to planning. What is the approach that you take? And is what I'm sharing today useful for you? Is it something you could bring into your life to make it more perhaps successful in certain aspects of your life where you are feeling stuck? Do share in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on that. So thinking about, the last thing I said is about making, how you're going to make those changes, because you've got to create space and time for that. So there'll be things that you may need to give up. And then it comes back to, well, why? Why should I give up sitting on the TV for 2 hours every night? Because I want to be fitter and healthier. You've got to understand your why, your own, again, very personal to you as to why you want to achieve this, why you want to accomplish that. And then something else to consider, as I said, you don't want everything to be a 10 right away, but you may want to consider, well, what would make us each of those aspects of your life a 10? What would that look like? What would that feel like? What would you be saying to yourself if you were accomplishing that? Because that would be your next step, is to gently push forward so that all of those different areas that are important to you in your life become a 10 at some point, but not all at the same time, because that's a lot of pressure. But what would that look like for you? Because now this is about creating what is possible. What is possible for you? Really, really powerful question. So give some time to that as well. So those are my tips for today in terms of planning. The reason I wanted to talk about it today because it is something that's come up when I've been having conversations with people. And this can be specifically for your career. It can be for other areas of your life as well. Because remember this, we're not, oftentimes people tend to compartmentalize aspects of their life. And they feel that actually, well, this piece here, so let's say work, has no impact whatsoever on my home life, my relationships, my social life. But actually, how we do one thing is how we do everything. Everything impacts other areas of our life. So by getting everything to a place which is really good, as I said, doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10 right away, but to get to a place where things are feeling good, we're feeling no more frustration, we're feeling fulfilled, satisfied, that we're making progress. That's the important thing, that we're growing, we're learning, we're improving, and we're making that progress. It's a great, great place to be. So what can you do to have that going on in your life in those areas that you've identified that are important for you? So let me know. I'm just going to grab a sip of my drink. There is a bit of a time delay. If you've got any questions or comments on that before we wrap up today. Philip is saying, brilliant tips and advice. Sorry, got to leave for a TV interview. Good luck with your TV interview, Philip. I'm sure you will do exceedingly well. So again, when it comes to planning, if you're feeling right now that there's parts of your life where you're frustrated, you're stuck, you're just not making the progress that you want, or you're missing out, the approach that I've shared with you today is a way to start making some progress forward, to improving areas of your life, to bettering yourself, to just simply feeling less frustrated. Then we can look at, okay, how do we measure those in detail? And that's something I'll look at in another episode because I'm conscious of time. I don't want to keep you here for too long. So first of all, go through your self-assessment, identify what are the important aspects for you. Where are you at right now on a scale of 0 to 10? Where would you like to be? What's in the gap? What needs to change for you to go from the first score you've given yourself to where you want to be? What will that look like? What are the steps that you need to take to get there? And also think about what help do you need? What support do you need? Maybe, as I said, you get an accountability partner to support you with your health goals, your fitness goals, because you can motivate and encourage each other. So think about that. What can you do to elicit some help, some support from people around you? And again, the same thing in your career. All of this applies to your career as well. So getting clear on where you are right now in your career, where would you like to be, and what's in the gap? What needs to happen for you to get from A to B, and why? It's so important to understand why. The reason I say this is because oftentimes I'll hear people set themselves a goal. They haven't considered the why, other than it's very almost superficial or high level. You know, how many people have I heard say they wanted to become millionaires? They became millionaires and totally not fulfilled because they realize there's so much more meaning to life than having money. Yes, money brings choices. It brings a lot of freedom. It brings happiness. Does it bring true fulfillment? That's the question I'll leave open to you. So it's about understanding the why of what you want, why you want to do what you do. A big part of it for many people is contribution. It's about giving back. And so that might be your why. That might be your motivator for creating change in your life. Brad, really good, Leela. Thank you. Thank you, Brad, for joining today. I appreciate your comments and sharing what you have been up to as well. Before I disappear, I would like to, first of all, thank you for watching here live on the replay. Any questions, any comments, pop them below or direct message me if you prefer, and I will come back to you. I'd also like to share with you this quote. This is from Stephen Covey. And I think this is very, very pertinent when we talk about our planning or what's important for us. And this is to decide what your highest priorities are and have the courage, pleasantly, smilingly, and non-apologetically, to say no to other things. Because you want to have a bigger yes burning inside. feel free to Google it. You'll get the whole quote on Google. I wasn't able to type it all out in the space that I had available. So I've given you the kind of the core message around it. So having a bigger yes burning inside, that is your why. That's what I spoke about earlier, is understanding your why for those goals that you're setting, for the plans that you're making. And by doing that, it'll make it a lot easier for you to keep motivated, to stay on track, and to be successful. So I do hope you've gotten some value out of our session today. As I said, drop me a line with any comments, thoughts, feedback you have. And as always, until next time, remember to build your influence, to make an impact, and to be remembered for all of the right reasons by showing up as the best version of you. Thank you. I'll see you same time, same place next week. Take care.